Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It's Sunday. I wanted to get in another episode on our refresher course for Chad Daybell's trial. I kind of think openings will happen midweek. I'll also be streaming the trial in its entirety and planning to do a lot of lunchtime lives when I'm not doing some for Long Crime Network. So come join us. Before we get started, you know the drill. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends, and you can ring my bell if you want notifications of when I post new content. Just click that little bell icon. It'll let you know. Music fact of the day. The song One Headlight by the Wallflowers never made it to the Billboard Top 100, but it did win 2 Grammys back in 1998. One for Best Rock Song and the other Best Rock Performance by a Duo or a Group. I forgot to mention this on the last episode. If you listen on Spotify and you're not getting updates and you've moved away from Spotify, somewhere else to listen. I've been working with Spotify for a couple of weeks now to sort of figure out what happened. Apparently, there were duplicates of the show on there, so it started moving it to the other one and quit updating the one most of you guys follow. If you want to continue listening on Spotify, you need to delete the podcast from your Spotify and search again, and then it should be the one with all the updated episodes. It's been a pain, but we got it figured out. I've been going through a lot of the trial testimony through my notes from when I was up there last year for Lori's trial, trying to plug in new things we learned, and it's pretty tedious because my notes actually were tweets where I would just go in at the end of the day and copy and paste, try to make sense of them to do my episode. I'm sure I've missed some things, but there are some new things in this part of the story that we learned in Lori's trial that's pretty big. And I think that these kind of things are what is going to make Chad's trial unique from Lori's. Of course, it's the same set of facts, but we haven't learned anything about his electronics other than what was entered into Lori's trial that was relevant. Before we begin, just a few random things that I found going through my notes that I wanted to tell you guys about. I don't think I made it clear in any of these episodes doing this refresher course that Alex Cox, Lori's brother, actually tased Tylee's dad, Joe Ryan. This took place at the Kid Exchange. Things got so bad in that custody battle that they had to exchange Tylee at a place designated for parents who just can't get along. Alex went on to serve jail time for this. He would mail letters to a friend asking for her to find out information about Joe Ryan. Now, Alex was a felon due to this, but he was able to legally carry firearms because he had completed the terms of his probation, and the charge was ultimately reduced to a misdemeanor. This was a big turning point for Joe Ryan. He suffered some physical injuries, and I think it became clear to him that they were after him. What are some things we learned at Lori's trial? Lori told Melanie Gibb at one point JJ was too difficult to care for and for her to also be with Chad. She told Gibb she was going to ask Kay to watch JJ from now on. This was after Charles's murder. She also said something similar to April Raymond in Hawaii about JJ. Zulema testified at Lori's trial that when Lori and Chad met at that conference back in October 2018, Lori spent a lot of time at Chad's table where he was selling his books. Lori was very flirtatious, and according to Zulema, she was putting the moves on him. She said that Lori would stay at the table and tell Chad that she was going to sell all his books for him. The same weekend they first met, Chad totally put the moves on her and said they had been married in a past life. He was James the Just and she was Elena. On the ride home from that conference, Lori was looking up James the Just. Kay Woodcock testified at Lori's trial that the reason Charles moved back to Houston with JJ is because only Lori's family was in Arizona. He moved back to Houston to be closer to family. Also, it would enable Kay and Larry to help with JJ. They only lived about 2.5 hours from Houston. So when Charles went out of town for business, which he did frequently, Kay was able to come to Houston and stay with JJ. On an episode of Dateline, Charles's brothers gave an interview, and his brother Bobby said Charles would have done anything to make Lori happy. Kay said Charles loved corny jokes and that she would often laugh and roll her eyes at him when he told them. And can I just say, I love Charles's brother, Jerry. He is the funniest guy I've ever met. Such a good dude. Hope I get to hug his neck here in the next couple of months. Another thing, Lori was sending her son Colby money on a very regular basis through Venmo. She would either use her account or Tylee's account. At one point, Tylee told her brother Colby she was not in charge of her money anymore, that Lori was. Also, FBI Special Agent Doug Hart testified at Lori's trial. In going through all of the electronic communications between Lori and Chad, Tylee, JJ, Charles, and Tammy were referred to as obstacles. He said it took him around 200 hours to go through all the iCloud accounts looking for things that were relevant in this case. So moving on July 12th, Lori texts Charles's adult sons to let them know that their dad was dead. They were waiting on the medical examiner report, but Charles's ex-wife, who was also the mother of Charles's two adult sons, her name is Cheryl. She looked it up online and found out that Charles was shot and killed. The same day she texts his sons, she initiates trying to cash in on that life insurance policy. The same day, Lori called Zulema inviting her over. And when Zulema arrived, Alex opened the door and gave Zulema a hug and invited her in. He told Zulema that Lori was in the backyard. She said Lori was very quiet at first, and then Lori said Alex shot Charles yesterday. Lori told Zulema that Charles had 100,000 dark entities that came to assist, giving him supernatural strength. When Zulema asked Alex how it made him feel to have shot Charles, he said it was okay because Charles was a zombie. Zulema sends a text to somebody that was in this group during this time, Julie Clement. Like I say, you can go back and listen to the Connecting the Dots series to get a deeper story on everybody. But for the sake of time, Julie Clement was just in this group, not as involved as Zulema, Melanie Gibb, and Melanice, but still involved. So Zulema texts Julie, Iplos is gone. It was a Nephi and Laban ending. I'll tell you more when I see you in person or you see Lori in person. I'm leaving for Chile Monday for 2 weeks. I'm just happy it's over. Zulema was asked by investigators about that text message referring to it being a Nephi and Laban ending. Zulema said that when she went over to Lori's house on July 12th, 2019, and talked to them about what happened, they made it sound like Heavenly Father gave Charles to them and brought him to the house for an opportunity to kill him. She said she made the Book of Mormon a reference in this text message because Laban stumbled around drunk and Nephi was told to cut his head off. Zulema also mentioned that Lori told her it was a Nephi and Laban ending. On July 13th, an autopsy is performed on Charles. When investigators spoke to members of Charles's family, they said Charles expressed concern for his well-being and there were threats made by Lori. Charles was reported to have told a family member that Lori upped the life insurance amount without his knowledge and feared she would have him killed. At 9:57 a.m. on July 13th, Chad texts Zulema. It says, Hi, Zulema. Yes, I would be happy to give you a blessing, possibly this evening or tomorrow. It's crazy about Charles, but such a relief. Zulema doesn't respond until 1:37 p.m. She says, Thank you, Chad. I'm working until 8 p.m., but let me know when you're ready and I'll break away that time. Same thing if tomorrow is better. I'm going to a farewell talk at 9 and then work at 12, but I can take a break whenever you're ready. Yes, the Charles thing feels surreal. Still processing that. Big relief he's gone. The same day, July 13th at 4:09 p.m., Melanice texts Lori. Adam just called Brandon and told him Al murdered Charles, and he put it on speaker for me to hear. Can you talk, please? I think Brandon found out earlier. He seemed in shock a few hours ago. And then Adam and Brandon tried to use this situation to their advantage. He cornered me and Adam put it on speaker to tell me. Then Brandon said, Do you still believe everything you believe? Brandon is with the moving truck at my new address, moving things. I'm at the house with the kids. Lori responds, Call me. Melanice would send another text to Lori at 5:19. Does Tylee have a phone or a way to contact Brandon or Adam? Lori responded, Nope, I still haven't. A friend of Tylee's told investigators that after Charles's murder, Tylee stopped responding to text and kind of disappeared for a couple of days, which was unlike her. She and another friend went to check on Tylee. She said Lori was her normal bubbly self, but Tylee was shaken up over Charles's death. She said even though they didn't get along, he was still a parent figure to her. I don't think that the issues that Tylee and Charles had as far as not getting along was unique to Tylee and Charles. I think just teenager in general and authority figure, parent figure, there's friction. This is nothing new. July 13th, same day, text between Chad and Lori. She used the name Bubby in her phone. This is that phone that Chad activated very shortly after meeting Lori, but didn't start using it until Charles found out about the affair. The text is in regards to a restraining order that Brandon had taken out, and Chad said he can't just do that, just like he can't get a restraining order against you. The mediator would make that clear. You and Al didn't have any charges against you. He's referring to Charles's murder here. Chad said he would talk to someone whose husband was a police officer. He said this person is a dark spirit. Chad also asked Lori if Brandon knew about Charles's text messages. I'm assuming the ones to Adam about the intervention. Then the same day, Chad texted Lori at 10:08 p.m. Y'all, these texts are so cringeworthy. I'm headed to bed so I can come snuggle tightly against you. I adore you. You're truly my best friend on earth and throughout eternity. See you in a minute. 3 butterflies, lips, and a fire emoji following that. On July 14th, Chad emails Lori part of the Loin Fires story. Okay, so it's cringy. It's horrible. I call it an erotic epic fail. At Lori's trial, they also said that the Loin Fire story did not come all in one piece. It was kind of spread out over multiple texts or emails and all that jazz, I guess, to keep the suspense going. I don't know. Also on this day, Alex travels from Arizona to Colombia, the country, not any Colombia here in the States, from the 14th until July 19th. He was big into sex tourism from what we understand. At 8:41 a.m., Alex sends Lori a text. He's on the plane to California. She tells him to have a relaxing vacation. At some point the same day, Lori calls one of Charles's sons and leaves a voicemail. It says, "It's Lolo. Just wanted to talk to you and see how you're doing." Now, at this point, the boys still had not been told by Lori what happened to Charles. One of his sons calls back, but Lori doesn't answer. And that was the last call he ever received from Lori. July 15th, Lori calls Banner Life to make a death claim. I'm going to play that audio for you now.
Claims Department, this is Robin. May I have the policy number?
Sure. It is,
Are you calling in reference to a death claim?
yes,
Okay, one moment, please. May I have the name of the insured?
L. Charles Vallow.
And who am I speaking with?
This is Lori Vallow.
And your relationship to the insured?
He's my husband.
Okay, one moment. Okay, ma'am, I'm just going to need to ask you a few questions so that I can open the claim, and then I can go over the claim procedure with you and answer any questions that you may have afterwards.
That would be great.
Okay, first of all, may I have your daytime phone number, please?
Sure. It's
And what was the date of Mr. Vallow's passing?
July 11th.
And what was the cause of his passing?
Well, he was shot,
Okay.
so I don't know how I want to put that.
Okay. All right. And I hate to ask,
I don't-
but is it?
Yeah,
you
I
can
don't-
just say yes or no. Was it a homicide?
No, it was an accident.
An accident. Okay. Okay. And what state did he pass away in?
Arizona.
Okay. Just bear with me for one moment. I just need to pull up a few other things.
Okay.
Are you aware of who the primary beneficiary of the policy is?
It's me.
Okay. And may I have your, I'm sorry, one moment. My computer just went away for a second. Okay. Okay, ma'am. That is all the information I need to open the claim. What we will do now is review the policy and the file to confirm the beneficiary information and determine the claim requirements that we will need to settle this particular claim. Once we have completed our review, we will prepare a claim packet to send to the named beneficiary once that has been confirmed. And the claim packet can either be mailed or emailed or faxed. How would you like to receive a correspondence?
Email would be great.
Okay, and what is your email address? Okay. All right, so you should receive an email from our office within the next 3 to 5 business days or sooner. It will have the instructions listed. Once you receive the information, if you have any questions whatsoever, please don't hesitate to give our office a call, and then we can go from there. Okay, is there anything I can help you with at this time?
That's it, I think.
Okay, ma'am. Well, I'm very sorry for your loss. You take care of yourself.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
It is so Satisfying to know that ultimately Lori was not the beneficiary of Charles's life insurance policy, and I would give my right arm to have been a fly on the wall when she learned that. July 15th and 16th, Lori and Colby go to Houston. They go to pack up Charles's things. Colby said that Lori called him crying, asking for his help. He didn't want to go, but he gave in. He said he didn't think they were there for 24 hours. They pack up Charles's things, put them in Charles's truck. They pick up Bailey, the service dog, from the kennel. Colby asked Lori what she planned to do, and she said she was going to be married again soon, which obviously did not sit well with Colby. And he told her she must be nuts to introduce another dad to JJ and Tylee. Colby also said he never had a relationship with Alex and thought he was a bum. He said Alex would tell him about his relationships with women, and Colby just thought it was nasty. He said that Alex started coming around more in 2018 and got closer with Lori around that time. He said Alex was very protective of Lori, and Colby thought that Alex and Charles were cool with each other. And actually, Charles had a lot of praise for Alex. Lori's sister Summer said the same thing, said that Charles and Alex were close, and they actually hung out some on the weekends together. She said that relationship changed in January, of course, when Lori leaves Charles and all of this hits the fan. Back to Houston. Colby and Lori drove the truck to the airport. It was full of Charles's personal belongings. They left it there, flew back to Arizona with Bailey, the service dog. And then Lori told Colby that Alex would be coming to get that truck. Also, on the same day, Melanice was contacted by investigators to talk about Charles's murder, but she was advised not to talk due to the fact that elements of Charles's case actually tied into her custody case with Brandon. The same day, one of Charles's sons emails investigators with some information he had found doing his own research. Totally nails it early on. He names the podcast Preparing a People. He's actually time-stamped very strange comments that Lori made on these podcasts. He also says they met with the funeral home, but the person in charge of Charles's arrangements told him he isn't allowed to tell them much legally. He also noticed the mortuary worker seemed oddly nervous talking to him. Charles's son thanks the investigator for his dedication to Charles's case and says that the investigator has no idea how much this means to him and the entire family, and says it's comforting to know it's not just them who thinks something is not right about this case. July 15th, Chad texts Lori, I know you won't get this text for another hour or so, but my love for you is overflowing right now. I just want to hold you endlessly. You are my wonderful best friend that I can't live without. There's 2 heart emojis on that. Lori texts back, and yet you are so sad. And there's 3 sad emojis. Missing you, just landed, gotta get to work. July 16th, Lori sends a text to Chad. Got Bailey. He seems good. Please clear him. Going out on the paddle boat, and there is a heart emoji. Chad responds, absolutely, but first I had to capture and seal away 500 level 2s that were in Bailey waiting to attack you when you fell asleep. They're gone now. There's a heart and lips emoji. The same day at 1:12 p.m., Lori texts Alex about Charles's truck. The key is inside, up on the dash along with the ticket, and there is $100 cash in the glove compartment and a full tank of gas. There's 2 lips emojis. It's at Houston Hobby Airport in the blue garage on the 3rd floor. Aisle D in the middle row. You can't miss it. Lori texts Chad, I just got the letter from the insurance company saying that I'm not the beneficiary. It's a spear through my heart. Who do you think he changed it to? Brandon or possibly Kay? He left nothing for JJ. Chad says, wow, that's terrible. There's no way to find out. Lori said, I might be able to see when I get his computer on Sunday. I could check the email sent to the insurance company. It will show change of beneficiary. He must have done it recently. Chad says, it seems you would have had to agree to the change. Maybe your name was forged. You should have a good paper trail to prove it. I love you. This is terrible, but is probably another step in bringing down the Gadiantons, especially Brandon. Now, in the Book of Mormon, the Gadiantons are a band of robbers that were led by someone pretending to be good. Lori says, nope. He can change it anytime he wants. He's the agent, and anyone can change their beneficiary anytime with their own signature. I'm thinking it must be Kay. Chad says, it'll be interesting if it got changed after he had 2 bullets in his chest. Lori says, I don't think it could have. You can't change it after the death date. They would review that. Chad says, yes, I'm thinking Kay as well. She's probably freaking out that you got those computers. I'm going to shower and give you a blessing. I'm eager to get home so we can talk. It really will be okay, my love. You are wonderful. The same day, Lori emails Chad. So I talked to the insurance company. He changed it in March. So it was probably Ned before we got rid of him. They can't tell me who, of course, but it's done. I'll still get the $4,000 a month from Social Security. Remember, Lori did that benefit estimator online of how much money she would get in the event Charles died for JJ. 4,000. Zulema told investigators that Lori would tell them that she was getting $1 million if something ever happened to Charles. And she said after Charles's murder, Lori tried not to show too much emotion, but Zulema said she really did seem upset. Lori would just say they're on a mission from God and that she would be okay. So, just for reference for this next series of text messages, Chad had this percentage scale that determined how close a person who was possessed by a fake zombie was to death. Those numbers were 0 or 100. The closer the person is to 0 or the closer they are to 100 in Chad's world means they're close to death. Chad texts Lori on July 18th. I've been instructed to focus my efforts on Hillary, so I will. She is at a 0.13. I turned up the pain to 10 and placed a spiritual virus in her. By the way, Hillary, that was the entity that was in Tylee. JJ is at a 99.99. Raphael visited him and told him to follow Amy into the light. I also assured him that James being Chad, would love and take care of his mommy, which he will with all his heart and soul. Lori responds, that's sweet. I miss you desperately. July 18th, just a note here, y'all. We were all sitting in the courtroom during Lori's trial. There was some testimony going on, and we were enlightened that the storm is a nickname for Chad's penis. When this was said in court, I was sitting there live tweeting this trial for Law and Crime Network and for the podcast. Y'all, I almost had to get up and leave. I had to bite my tongue until it bled, and I had to sit on my hands to not tweet out every single storm emoji Twitter offers. And here's what's crazy. If I recall correctly, the day this was testified to, as soon as court let out, there was a big storm, and we were all like, it fits. Here we go. This is just perfect. The storm? Really? I've heard some crazy ones. That might take the cake. So now that you know the meaning, July 18th, Chad texts Lori, you're adorable, beautiful, wonderful, heavenly, luscious, and angelic. So many divine attributes rolled into one desirable package. Just grab me by the storm and I'll follow you to the ends of the universe. Lori says, when might that be? Chad says, Wednesday evening and repeatedly until Friday. Lori says, and then what? Chad says, back to crying and saying goodbye, back to the box. This trip to Utah had a lot of finality, and I'm told extreme challenges will come to us. The next day, on July 19th at 12:53 p.m., Chad sent Lori a message providing trust levels of those she needed to be aware of. I'm not getting into the people we haven't talked about in depth. Closer to 100 are people you can trust. Obviously, closer to 0, you can't trust them. Melanie Gibb was a 97. Melanice was an 85. Zulema was a 96. Her brother Alex Cox was a 94. Her sister Summer was a 40. Her mother Janice was a 15. Her father Barry was an 8. Her brother Adam was 0. Audrey, who is a friend of Lori's, and Raphael, meaning Chad, were both 100s. The same day at 5:41 p.m., Melanice texts Lori, it's Melanie Lee, my clear line I'll use for emergencies. If you have something you want to send to this phone, text me and she has a monkey emoji, and I'll know to look in this one. July 21st, Melanice sent Lori a message. You should get a life insurance policy on JJ, Tylee, and you. Because after Charles, we see that anything can always happen. It's in the Lord's will. Before we get into this next text, the name Rhonda is the evil entity that was in Kay Woodcock. July 21st, 10 days after Charles's murder, Lori says found it. Ned, meaning Charles, gave all of it to Rhonda, and she puts the date February 26, 2019. Chad says, glad you found that out. Lori said it fits now. She will try to take him. Thanks for working on her. Work on me too. Reading all of this makes me sick. Chad says, we will work hard on Rhonda when we are together. I will get her numbers as low as I can by Wednesday. Lori says, good. Let's work on her hard. The same day, Lori texts Chad, it's making me so happy to read about our life that I'm finally going to dance, missing and loving you from afar. It was great. I feel free again. Can't wait to be with you forever. I'll be begging father and mother. Chad says, I'll be right beside you, begging just as much. July 22nd, this text goes into the 23rd. Chad texts Lori, there are only 272 threes left, and none of them have occupied a body before. They're talking about all the zombies in America, if I remember correctly. Chad says they are down to their last reserves. I'm glad I caught Elroy. I feel he was aiming to hide out and then get into JJ. Lori says, good morning. Little sun emoji there. Missing you. Didn't sleep much. Need you to check JJ. Weird stuff happened in the middle of the night. It's like they distracted us with Blake. There's lips emojis. Blake, by the way, being one of Melanie's and Brandon's sons. Lori said just dropped off JJ, cleared the school, and placed him in a shield of protection. She puts lips emojis. Then she asked, what's Blake's percentage? He drew 3 crosses on the wall in his bedroom. We just finished painting over them, like he was marking it for the dark side to find him. Chad said, Blake is a 7. I took my sword of life and sliced his aura vertically in several places. You should be able to now rip and burn it. I also decreased his pain tolerance to 1% and greatly increased his pain. His desire to depart is at 80%. What's terrifying to think about is that Brandon and Melanie's kids, 3 of the 4 were dark spirits, as if the case could not be devastating any more than it is. You add 3 additional kids onto that, and thank goodness we will learn about eventually Brandon splitting town with his kids and hiding out, so Melanie's and Alex and Lori couldn't find him. On July 22nd, Chad says to Lori, love you, going to see the other side of heaven too, but excited to be with you. Lori says, I love you. You will enjoy the scenery. Looks like Kauai a lot. Hopefully we'll be there someday soon together. Chad says that is the plan and my greatest desire. Then Chad texts Lori, hi, darling, back from the movie. We enjoyed it. Looking forward to being on a tropical island with you. Some things that happened between the week of July 22nd through the 26th, 2019. Lori goes to JJ's school, says that Charles harmed himself and that JJ didn't know. The staff thought it was strange. They knew and loved Charles, so they look up online Charles Vallow and find out that he was killed in a family altercation. That's how it was being listed at the time, because initially it was determined to be a self-defense case. It wasn't until after the kids went missing, when they took a second look, they realized this was not self-defense. The staff member said that JJ had days where he was sad and very distressed, and he told his teacher, my dad's not in heaven, he's traveling. Kay tells Detective Moffat that Lori texted her saying they're moving back to Hawaii ASAP. In that text, Lori says JJ won't be able to come to Louisiana for Charles's funeral and asks Kay which address she wants Charles's ashes sent to, and also that she has a box of things for Charles's sons. So Kay texts Lori, "Lo, y'all okay? I'm worried. Please just send a quick text that y'all are okay. Did you see the flight itineraries? Are you good with it? Love you. Kisses for JJ from me and Pawpaw." Lori responds, "Yes, we are okay. Been busy. I never received any email from you. We've been figuring out what to do. JJ won't be able to go to Louisiana next week. We are moving back to Hawaii ASAP before school starts there. Please send me the address you want me to send the ashes to for your memorial. I'll also send a box of things for Charles's sons. And if you could give it to them, that would be great. Thanks. Kay said, I had rethought flight plans after I booked. Since you said he's out of school from tomorrow until August 5th, I wanted to change and get him tomorrow anyway, but you didn't reply to my texts. Please let me know. However, we can work this out. We will bend over backwards to work around your schedule. I need JJ hugs and kisses very badly right now. Everyone is looking forward to seeing him. Please, Lo. And there's a bunch of prayer hand emojis. Lori responds, once we are settled there, you're welcome to come visit him. It's just too confusing for him right now. He won't know what's going on at the memorial. It's better this way. Send me the address and I'll have him FaceTime you tonight. Kate talks to Detective Moffat, who is investigating Charles's case, and says, this is devastating to us. I guess she won't let him come because she's afraid we'll keep him. We can't legally, and we're law abiding citizens. She asks, what does this do to the investigation? And Detective Moffat responds, the only downside to Lori moving is that she won't be readily available to interview in person. He said if they were able to establish probable cause to arrest her, he would obtain a warrant and have her extradited back to Arizona. He said it wouldn't be difficult since Lori would still be in the United States. July 22nd, Lori texts Chad, when you get home, check Tylee. She's being super sweet and helpful, and she cleaned her room. See if she got switched. Totally not her. Chad responds, yes, she was switched. Please let me know when you can talk and I will explain. And this goes to show you poor Tylee couldn't do anything right. If she wasn't in a good mood, she was a zombie. If she was having a good day where she was nice and cleaning her room, she was a zombie. July 25th, Kay emails Detective Moffat saying that Lori will not allow JJ to come to the memorial. She is hiring a private investigator and also says Charles suspected Lori of having an affair with Chad. She explains that Lori made videos of herself dancing on Charles's computer and then sent those to Chad. Kay also mentions the assault on Joe Ryan by Alex Cox. In an email exchange, Chandler investigators talked to Travis County, Texas investigators asking for more information about that tasing incident involving Joe back in 2007. Detective Moffat says in the report, according to my victim's family, this suspect was arrested for assaulting his sister's husband. In my case, the suspect shot the same sister's husband and is claiming self-defense. July 26th, 8:13 p.m., a message from Chad. Home. Missing you immensely and feeling very tired. Had a splendid time with you, my life. We'll text again soon. Y'all, then Chad says, tonight I figured out who I feel like. I'm a grown up version of Harry Potter who has to live with, he says, the Dudleys, it's the Dursleys, in his little space under the stairs. Every few weeks, I get to escape and have amazing adventures with my goddess lover, but then I have to return to my place under the stairs feeling trapped. But I sense permanent freedom is coming with 2 fire emojis. Y'all, I'm going to tell you, I love me some Harry Potter. Every time I see that scene when he's in the cupboard under the stairs, you know who I see? Chad Daybell. He's going to ruin that part for me. Lori and Chad continue texting with Chad asking, how are things at home? Lori says, she's fine. Need you to check JJ. She said he was calm and watched movies all day, which he would never do. Missing you. Chad says, missing you too. He says, it is still JJ. I'm told she is lying about him being calm and watching movies. Lori said Melanice knew. She called me. She felt the real Brighton and knew she was different. She is taking it well and knows it's part of a big plan. I am upset over it. Of course, Brighton is Brandon and Melanice's daughter who had become possessed. July 27th, text from Lori to Chad. She copied and pasted something Melanice had been sent by Chad from father. My sweet daughter, you have done well. I'm very pleased you have been prepared for every moment. Don't fear future happenings. They're for your benefit. No fear of the unknown. You have overcome all. Things will be fast paced and you will be ready. Don't mind if I speed things up a bit. Lori says, nice message Mel received. I won't mind if he speeds things up a bit. Chad says, yes, I miss holding you in my arms, caressing and kissing you. I feel Mel's message was for us too. You are so wonderful. July 28th, Lori texts Chad, are you mad, sad, what? Chad said, doing okay. No privacy here to hardly text, and I miss you immensely. I feel good about the trip. Lori says, I need a distraction while I'm waiting for you. Love you. Chad said, absolutely. I think you'll have a fun time. At this point, investigators say this is a few weeks after Charles's murder, and she's waiting on Chad to do something about his wife, Tammy. Also on this day, Lori sends Chad screenshots of the life insurance policy showing that change of beneficiary. A second image was sent a minute later with another page that showed Kay Woodcock as that new beneficiary. July 29th, Kay sends text messages to Detective Moffat there in Chandler, Arizona, where Lori realizes she's not the beneficiary of the $1 million life insurance policy on Charles. Kay tells Detective Moffat she would dance with the devil for JJ's sake. And then she says, which I am pretty much when conversing with her being Lori. The text Lori sent, 5 kids and no money. And his sister gets everything. On July 29th, the same day, Lori sends Chad a text from Kay in response to what I sent Larry. Are you angry with me? Charles did this. I told him I didn't want to be a party to it because somehow I'd be the bad guy. Lo, he must have had a reason. Insurance called to tell me I'm the beneficiary. Wanting JJ for the memorial has nothing to do with money. Kay says that he should be there because JJ was Charles's son and they miss him. Kay said we should be able to get along and it shouldn't be hostile. She said, I'll come tomorrow. Chad says she doesn't seem inclined to share. Maybe Larry will talk to you. Lori says they're jerks. I won't respond ever. Lori never responded to Kay again after this. Lori, Alex, and Melanice drive to Oceanside, California for 2 days until the 31st with JJ and 2 of Melanice's kids. For reference, 3 of Melanice's kids were dark. On the 29th, Chad texts Lori, one question. Do you want me to cause pain yet to those 2 threes you're riding with? 3 being 3 darks. Lori says, probably hold off on them until we arrive. They will be miserable to deal with, but I'll text you if they start acting up and we can zap them. Chad says, sounds great. Yes, if they're going to act up, we'll at least give them a reason to scream. I love, cherish, and adore you. The wonderful memories just keep coming back. You are mesmerizing. Raphael is one lucky guy. Chad texts Lori, Tammy is at a 3. JJ is at a 2. Both are being heavily shielded to stop intruders. These death percentages, by the way. Chad tells Lori, we might need to release a little steam when we talk. He puts 2 fire emojis there to spice things up a bit. Anyway, this is the chart that checks what percentage mortals are still in their body. It worked for my friend's wife who died, my neighbor, George Bush, Stan Lee, etc. I think I forgot about it because we've been dealing with zombies and demonic entities. But this afternoon, Tammy said she felt lightheaded, as if her body and spirit weren't connected. I will update the list to include Brandon, Adam, and others. The witness at Lori's trial said this is significant because death percentages are talking about the actual death of a human, and Lori initiated the inquiry into JJ. The witness also mentions Tammy is very close at a 2, JJ at a 3. That means close to death. Lori's response was, why aren't they yet at 0? She says 2 and 3%, not 0. Remember, 0, you're dead. In another text, Chad said, I got the inspiration to go back to my original death percentages that helped us track Charles, Ned, etc. Tammy is very close. Her percentage has fallen steadily since Iplos left. It is encouraging. There's heart and lips emojis. Zulema said at the end of July, Lori had a meeting at her house in Chandler, in the same house Charles was killed in. Chad was there, and this was the first time she ever saw Lori and Chad being romantic. Now remember, Tammy's still alive at this point. This meeting is when, according to Zulema, the talk about moving to Rexburg begins. In August, Lori ultimately decides to move to Rexburg. At first, she thought Chad would come live in Arizona. Melanie Gibb talked to Nate Eaton at East Idaho News and said at first she thought Chad would come to be with her in Arizona. And then she said, I changed my plans. I'm supposed to be up there. He says, I'm supposed to be up there, but I need to get my own answer. Gibb explains Lori really didn't want to move to Rexburg at first. And then she said, I was told yes, I need to go. And she needed to be there by a certain time, so she decided to move. Gibb points out that there's a chance Tammy's going to see the two of you together. Lori thought Tammy would die before she moved and that it would happen in a car accident or something like that. August 1st, 2019, Lori texts Chad, Panda was good, just got JJ to sleep, going to try and take a bath. Tylee yelled at me for 30 minutes, then took off in her car. Won't answer me. Then it has unlisted individual in quotes, and it says that was expected. There's also some photos of Chad that was sent to Lori by Alex. It shows Chad standing next to a picture of Jesus. They showed this in court. They both text Lori. Alex says, look at the bubbies. And Chad says, two exalted beings. August 3rd, Melanese texts Alex and says, it's Leilani Lee. Save my number for you guys only. The contact was saved on the phone, by the way, as Miriam. The same day, August 3rd, Charles's celebration of life takes place at the Lake Charles Civic Center. Lori and JJ, of course, are not there. His obituary in the paper, I want to read it here. It says, Leland Charles Anthony Vallow, 62 of Houston, Texas, left this life to meet his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, on July 11th, 2019. He was born August 17th, 1956, to Leland Eli and Tilda June Vallow of Lake Charles, Louisiana. He was a committed father to his sons and most proud that his oldest sons earned their college degree. Youngest son, JJ, age 7, is a child of special needs with whom Charles was adoringly engaged to ensure his success in life. As a brother, he positively impacted all of our lives, going far beyond the call of duty and expecting nothing in return. We will cherish him forever. He was fun loving, kind, understanding, and compassionate. Charles was a 1974 graduate and attended McNeese State University, where he received a scholarship to pitch for the McNeese Cowboys. He was a member of Kappa Sigma fraternity and cherished many good times with his fraternity brothers. In 1975, as a freshman, he set the new McNeese University record by striking out 13 batters in the first college game he pitched. In 1977, he was drafted to play semi-pro ball in Houston. A gifted athlete, he had a passion for physical fitness and was an avid fan of the Dallas Cowboys and the Houston Astros. As an experienced financial consultant, Charles guided thousands of families to safe and secure retirements. He practiced his profession as he lived his life: relationships, integrity, communication, and service to others. At American Equity, he was honored for being a top producer and ensuring the financial health and security for many. They list his surviving family members. August 5th, that was JJ's first day of school in Arizona. And on August 7th, Lori texts Chad, I love you. Taking Braxy home now. She is asleep. She put a bunch of holes in the walls and doors. Definitely had demons helping her, probably 1,000. Mel wants us to come up tomorrow. I said Thursday through Sunday. What do you think? We are both so tired of taking care of demons. We are weary. Please ask the Lord to take them. So we're going to end it there because the month of August, everything's starting to really happen as far as the move. We'll be getting through the rest of this timeline before openings in this case start, I do think, by midweek. So that's it for today. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you soon.